How you doing?
Good, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Ryan Conley here on today's podcast. We have the incredibly special guest, Mr. Anthony Powell, the legend in network marketing, someone I look up to in business and sales and just lifestyle in general. This guy just knows how to live. He's the master at living. But I'll let him tell it. How you been, man?
Doing pretty good. Everything going forward, which is exactly what you want, which is good. How about you, Ben? What's new with you?
Just running the same companies, keeping them going, working those out. Got the podcast going now. Got some cool guys on the show. It's been fun, having a little bit of fun finally. Not so much work, so much. It's kind of nice to have a little bit of that freedom that you're always thinking about. But how many businesses you got going on right now? There's a few.
I've got about four.
Yeah.
So yeah, and just I got people in all different businesses and everything. You just got to do the work and stay consistent and put in the hours, and consistency pays off over time. Nothing's for sure, but if you for sure show up, then things typically work out.
Oh, definitely. Well, I know a lot of your story, but when every time I do a podcast, I tweet it out the day before to get questions from people. So for the people that don't know, Michelle had a question of how old were you when you entered the network marketing arena? And, go a little bit, talk about that if you could.
Yeah, so I got started when I was 19 years old, closer to 20. Basically went to college on a basketball scholarship, and being 6'6", I showed up as a power forward, and the coach said, "Hey, you're amazing, but you're now a guard," because in the college and NBA, guards are 6'6". So I just wasn't a guard. I didn't practice ball handling. Long story short, he said, "Why don't you transfer?" I was at the University of Washington, top school, so big school. So I was proud to get a scholarship to even get in. But the bottom line is I transferred to a smaller school, played for a little bit, and then focused on, college was, I went through it, but college teaches you how to be an employee. And I'm not an employee. I wanted to have my own business. And so I got into network marketing about 19, about a year after college, and just started focusing it from that point forward ever since.
Got it. Let's get to the next one. What was the thing or action that got you even thinking about it? Was it like a moment, or you went to a seminar? Did someone invite you to something? Or
no, I was interning at a large pharmaceutical firm, and I got into. There was about 10,000 applicants, and then I eventually got into being one of the 10. Sure. And it was a 10-year apprentice program, kind of more or less internship, to be a vice president of one of they were in 80 countries, and so they're huge. So long story short, one night I was going into our corporate headquarters, and I heard a full-grown man crying. I thought someone was injured, so I went to their rescue, and it turned out to be the number 2 in the world for the company. And he had told me that he'd been there through high school and college and gave up his whole life for that company, and they're letting him go before his retirement, and that he was going to lose everything, and he couldn't even work 2 jobs to make what he earns at that one job. So driving home that night, I kind of went from 19 to 40 years old in one night, and just to realize that I needed to have my own business, but I had no money. I had no business sense. I just didn't know where to go. I looked everywhere. Everything was 200,000, 100,000, 50,000, $500,000, and I just didn't have it. So eventually a good friend of mine, called me about 6 months and said, "Hey, I want you to come take a look at this opportunity. It's in health and nutrition, which is right up your alley. One or two things is going to happen. One, you're going to see what I see, and we're going to do it together, make a lot of money. Or 2, you're not going to see what I see, and I won't pitch you about it or won't try to harp you or anything. We'll still be friends and have some beers, blah, blah, blah." So I said, "Hey, that's easy." I went down to this big meeting in Seattle, Washington. There was about 900 people in the meeting. And I almost walked out immediately because I walked in and there was like, everybody was clapping and screaming and having, I was like, man, what the hell is this?
You're kind of like me.
Like, it was really weird. And so by noon, I was clapping and screaming too. And then by the end of the deal, it was Herbalife. And I lucked out. I had Jim Rohn there. I had Larry Thompson was there. A bunch of really big leaders were there. And so they just got me into the results of the products. They got me into seeing that one-eyed pirates can make a lot of money. And I said, if these one-eyed pirates can make a lot of money, then I can definitely make money.
Sure.
And so I just, I had a 490 or whatever it was credit score and $1.50 in my bank account. And I didn't know what to do, but my mentor said, if you want it bad enough, you're going to find the money to get in. So I did. I found $4,000 in 72 hours and got in the business, and the rest is history.
Well, that's incredible, just that in general. But I think you answered the next question. You said it was Herbalife that was the company.
Yeah.
Started out with, and you had some amazing success so early. What do you think the thing you did differently that made you so great to get so good so fast? I mean, nobody has that amount of success that quick.
Well,
Were you like a top earner in your first year, like something like that?
No. I wasn't a top earner until 10 years into it. But I was, I was always in the top of the earners.
Gotcha.
And so, to make a long story short, what got me in network marketing was leveraged income. What I hated about network marketing is push, pull, and dragging all your friends into the business. If that was the way I had to do it, regardless of how much money you could make, I would have been out. Because that's 1970s, that's the 60s, and there's still people today that swear by belly to belly, and in my opinion, that's just stupidity. I mean, it really is stupid for people to think you can build a business with center of influence. That's a long approach. So, make a long story short, so a lot of people didn't like me because I wasn't willing to do what they were doing. But what I did do was what they were doing in regards to presentations, invitations, presentations, and signing people up. And what I did is I realized that everyone that signs up in network marketing thinks of network marketing as they want this $1 million business, but they want to put hobby workmanship into it, right? Yep. And they think they're going to sign this 1 or 2 people up that are going to take them to the stars. When I knew it was a business, so I wanted to know what numbers do I need to do personally in order to get my business off the ground, and then it'll switch on you, and then you got to work on your organization and you're developing leaders. So I realized that I had to sign up 10 new people a month and 10 new customers a month, period, end of conversation. And that's what I did, because I didn't want to make, a couple thousand a month or 500 a month. And that's the majority of the business is $500 to $1,000 a month people. And those people do things totally different than what I was doing. So, which is great. But my point to you is once I figured out I had to do 10 and 10, then I figured out how many numbers of invites I needed to do with no excuses, which would lead me to how many presentations I had to do with no excuses. And I just worked on my numbers. And there's an old saying that liars can figure, but the figures don't lie. And most people are always telling you where they're going and what they're doing. I could show you by my numbers exactly where I was going and when I was going to achieve that level. And if I wanted to achieve it faster, I would do more numbers. So that's how I really I mean, I don't say this with any disrespect, but there is absolutely positively nobody that ever was able to keep up with me when I was in full mode, because no one works off of their numbers. They work off of just clapping and screaming and how many people you bring into the meeting and just the big tea party. I wanted to make a lot of money, and I wanted my people to make a lot of money at whatever level they came here for. Because I didn't want to pitch 10, 20, 100 grand a month and someone wanted to make 500 a month. I wanted them to make 500 a month, but I showed them how to make 500 a month, not just the pie in the sky bullshit pitch,
Yeah, I had Matt Morrow and BK Barreco on, and they said there's nobody that has a work ethic like Anthony Powell. There's never going to be another Anthony Powell. They both basically the same quote was exactly that.
Well, I have a lot of respect for those guys. They they are amazing guys, and I have a lot of respect for them. And they too have done outrageous things in this industry, are legends.
Yeah, definitely. Let's take it back just so I can get Jackie's question answered. So I know you said you had a lot of people supportive once you got in with your mentors and stuff, but how was the family and other friends that wasn't the inviter? Were they supportive of that, or were they like, you're crazy for leaving that corporate job, you're going to make crazy money? How did that go back to it? And how did you deal with that?
My family had plans for me. I was supposed to go to college, and I was supposed to be in corporate America. And so that was their plan, but it wasn't my plan. So, I obeyed them to the best of my ability, to where I realized it was a big, huge trick bag. And I looked at people 20 years my senior in my industry, and they were all divorced 5 times, on coke, and, and worn out and beat up. And I just like, man, I don't want to do that. That does not look fun to me. And, guys are paying child support to 3 different baby mamas. I'm like, man, this is not the
That's
life.
still going on today. Still going on today, and then double that, I think.
I don't want that life. That's not fun. And that's anyways, long story short. So my whole family just went against me. And I wished them well. I said, look, I love all you guys. They thought I was in a cottage industry, that one of those things that was never going to work. And I was like, guys, that's all good. I know you love me, and that's why you're telling me this, but I'm going to prove you wrong. And not that I want to prove you wrong to fight you. I'm going to prove you wrong because I'm going to change your life.
Yeah, definitely. When you were at the top, like when you finally got to that number 1 spot, if you don't mind, how much were you making at the height of it? Like at the height?
I never say
Anthony Powell.
I made several hundred thousands a month. My biggest month collectively with all my verticals in network marketing was over 7 figures a month.
Wow, that's insane. That's good. What'd you do with all that money when you first started making it?
That's a good
question on that one.
That's a good question, because this is a real important answer for everybody. I had Jim Rohn by my side. I was very lucky. Because I produced so aggressively when I was young, about 20 to 26, I produced so heavily that Herbalife took notice of me.
Yeah.
And so they started that, hey, fresh blood, super young, lots of energy, produces got crazy numbers. Let's stick him on stage around the world to get people fired up. And so I was traveling with Jim Rohn all over the world. So if you can imagine, I had the opportunity to sit next to Jim Rohn for about 2 million miles. I thank God for that. And one time we were flying into Germany, and he said, look, I want to give you a lesson. We're going to meet this guy. I won't say the name because of the fact of respect. But he goes, this guy's making about 100,000 a month. And Jim Rohn was like, he's got all the toys, all everything, houses, cars. There's one problem. He's sleeping with his downline, multiple women, destroying marriages. Yeah. This guy will be bankrupt and on the street in 36 months or less because he's using his power wrong. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you can't be sleeping around when you're on the road. You can't be buying toys with your money because that's your income, your business generated. You need to take that money then and go buy assets, and whatever the money your assets kick off is then your passive income there. You can spend that money, but you can't spend the money that comes off your business. You must invest it to create passive income. And so it's create income, generate income, invest in assets, and then you can use the money off your passive. And so I obeyed that. So if you can imagine, I put about 60% of my revenue from my business into advertising. So I put 60 to sometimes 70% all back into advertising to keep growing it. I took the other portion, I took about 20% to 25%, and I put that aside for taxes. And then the other little sliver, Jim Rohn said, you need to live under your means. So I lived in a little shoebox studio. He said, it's better to live in a studio, the smallest place you can possibly live in the best part of town, than live in a big, huge house in the shit part of town. Because you're going to go to the store with those people, you're going to go to the mall with those people, restaurants with those people, and you need to soak up the lifestyle of where you're going. So I did. I lived in a place that was about, no joke, 400 square feet. My bed turned into an office. I put my bed up. It was like a futon, turned in from like a bed to a couch. I had tables, and then that's what I did. Then I was out all day long doing 2,000 car flyers a day, signs, posters, pulled out. From the time I got up to like 3 a.m, I was advertising or on the phone.
Yeah, you never sleep like me, I'm sure, back then. Just going.
It was all about the numbers. If
you didn't hit them, you weren't sleeping. I got it. Let's see what we got here. Tell us about a day in the life of Anthony Powell today. What's going on with you today? Like, what do you do? I know everything's by the minute because that's why you're so successful, but what do you normally, a normal work day?
Well, to me, everything's changed for me. What I wanted when I didn't have money, I went out and got after I had my passive income kick in. And then I got to a point where I had all the houses and cars. I had jets. I had just crazy things that when you don't have anything, you think that's arriving and that's success. And one day my mom came to my house and she goes, son, you have 4 $400,000 cars in your garage. Like, what are you doing? Like, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? I went, what are you talking about? She goes, that's just not the son I raised. She goes, I raised some guy that, that's just not you. Can't you have one?
Yeah.
And I was like, so she goes, why don't you, she goes, you're trying to impress people that don't really care about you. And that's not going to contribute towards a healthy life. And of course, I could only receive as much as I could possibly get from her because she didn't understand. She worked the same job for 35 years. So here's what I did. I basically sold everything, got rid of majority, like 75% of all the bullshit stuff. And I live in the best place in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
But I fine-tuned my life to where I just put my cash into assets now, and I just kick back and chill. But I live really rigid. In the morning, I get up at a certain time. I have an entire bottle of water the minute I wake up to hydrate myself. Then I get a cup of coffee, and then I do my pre-workout. Then I go work out. Then I come back and do my to-do list, and then I do my day.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. I know a lot of people were saying, think that you're just at Herbalife, the ones that don't know the whole backstory, but you've been able to build teams, and not by just bringing people over, but literally in every one you went to, you've been able to build massive teams organically. And then how many millionaires have you produced? I mean, do you have a number? Is it that many? I mean, that's another thing you're known for.
It's over 250 seven-figure earners. Now, what they did with the money is, I don't know if they're still millionaires, but the point is that we've got about 250 people directly and indirectly, because some of them use my system. They weren't directly in my downline. But yeah, so I mean, and it's one of those things, like I've been doing this for a long time, so it's not like this happened in 5 years, but and there's a lot of tug of wars helping people, because a lot of people didn't have the mindset, or they didn't do the personal development. And I'm the kind of guy where if someone says I want to do X, then I'm going to show up. And then if you don't do what my mentors taught me, then I'm going to let you know all about it. And so sometimes it can become a war with people, and then we get to the point where I'm like, hey, maybe I need to let you go because you're not ready to be the person you said you want to be. And that tough love sometimes, most of the time, gets people snapped together. And because I really care about where people want to be and where they want to do for their family. And it's a big mission of mine. So I did Vima, loved Vima, BK, that was fun. Put a lot of people in Vima. And then I did my own company, came out the gate and just literally crushed it. And then I was in the wrong industry. My passion is not travel. I love to travel, don't get me wrong, but to have it as a business model, I just kept feeling, I don't feel me when pitching travel. And so I basically wound it down. It's still people still utilize the portal stuff, but it's not what Anthony Powell's. I love nutrition. I just love seeing people's bodies change. I love to see someone's life change. I love all that. And some people say it's lotions and potions. Well, then they don't have a passion for nutrition. I have a passion for nutrition. That's the bottom line. I like to see people gain weight, lose weight, health conditions clear up. Of course, you can't make any guarantees, but that's what I love. So we're launching, and we're kind of soft launching CBD right now. And then we're going to be moving that over into a nutritional program concept for well-being and also for weight loss. And I really know that world well because I put 820,000 people into Herbalife, and I watched a cycle of how long people take products. And when they fall off and when they don't. And I do everything on an online portal. So I know I have all the data when people quit. We take the data of why they quit. And it always comes back to simplicity. If it's not simple, they won't take it. And the other thing is, if they don't feel something, they don't believe it's working. So those are the two things. And so we're going to have something really simple and works like crazy. And if you have that, the products do all the work, and then it snowballs from there.
Was that your just a new challenge for you to start your own? I mean, because you're so successful doing it in other companies. I mean, did you just want to take on that challenge to challenge yourself, or what did that come from? I mean, because you could have done anything else, but it's always hard to start that stuff. And
I'll tell you, being an owner of a company sucks. I'll be very honest with you. Well, let me tell you, not a company, an MLM company is not fun. Okay, it's not. I would not take it as a first choice. However, here's the reason why I did it. I'm real privileged and I'm real grateful for the fact that I've got a PhD on my staff in mathematics and in physics.
Wow.
He's been with me for 12 years as my senior programmer.
Yeah.
He and I would, when I was in Herbalife, I was like, I need to know exactly what I'm getting cut off from, because Herbalife will cut the hell out of you, right?
Yeah.
But yet I was making so much money because of the business that I knew how to bring online clicks and put people through. I know how to do that, but there was still a breakage. And so my PhD and I sat down and I knew exactly the company was making about 52% back to the company. Even when everybody was paid out, there was so much broken off. And in many cases, they would make 65 to 70% broke off back to the company because people couldn't get it. Sure. No matter what level you were at, you just couldn't get the money with all your service. Then I did binary. Binary is an amazing concept, but it's also has, in mathematical terms, something called the chaos system, where volume can disappear or flush or what have you, and that benefits the company. So I was like, well, there's got to be a way to make that work because the concept is really cool. We looked into force matrix, and I just sat down with my PhD guy. And there's one thing Jim Rohn told me, and Mark Hughes told me, the owner of Herbalife, and Jim Rohn, the philosopher, he said, if it's not fun, if it's not simple and not magical, then people will drop out like flies. The last part that has to be is that the little guy's got to make money.
Sure.
If the little guy doesn't make money, seeing is believing, they're out. So you have a high attrition rate going on, and that's not what you want in network marketing, especially in the US because of the FTC. They don't want to see that. So you need people consuming that product, and you don't want the attrition happening to you, people dropping. So we just sat down, made a very powerful comp plan that it is what it is. Meaning if we say you're going to get paid a maximum of 50, you're going to, because most companies only pay a max of 12 to 23%, but they say they pay 72, but I can guarantee you, I can prove you wrong that they don't. So my theory is if the company makes a little bit less and the affiliate, the brand ambassador, or whatever the person's called, can make more money, the stick rate, I'll make more money long-term than trying to get a big bang up front and have a high attrition rate. I'd rather have people make the bang up front and stick than have people long-term drop out. That makes sense?
Definitely. Are you going to take the more of the BK approach where you're kind of just be the owner, push it, or kind of like the Nix or Canola where you kind of affiliate your own company and kind of push it that way? What are you thinking?
I would love to have somebody just buy it off me and I'll just be the #1 affiliate. The problem with that is that a lot of times, like BK's so successful because BK was an affiliate himself first.
For another company.
He already knows the temperament of what happens in that business cycle, what it feels like to fail, and that's what Mark Hughes did at Herbalife. Not many people that own network marketing companies have ever been in that peak and valley situation that destroys your brain. That you need to know how to talk to that base to push them through that. The horizon's coming. You're going to get there, and here's where you are right now. So if I did sell the company, which I would rather sell and become a #1 affiliate, there'd be a lot of little things that have to go into that. But for right now, the culture is set to where we're going. And I'm not looking, I know it sounds weird, but I really want to build something that I can pass down to people versus just have a run. I don't want to run because runs aren't fun. I had a run in Herbalife for 20 years. That was fun. But I'll be very honest with you. If there's any Herbalifers here, I apologize because I love Herbalife. Okay,
it's still big. It's still around. It's still going strong. Well, a lot of my friends are still doing it.
It shows you the power of what's called belief, because people still believe it's Mark Hughes, Jim Rohn, Larry Thompson, but they've been dead for 20 years. Jim Rohn for 7. Now here's the deal: when Mark Hughes was around, the products were what they were. And many people, with all the rumors, people think Herbalife booted me or I left or this and that. The bottom line is I woke up one day, made a decision to leave Herbalife. That's the bottom line. Okay. There was I had no FTC calling me or looking at me. I got no letters, no phone calls. No, I made a decision. I got up one day, I called 30 of my top leaders together and I said, look, I cannot look you in the face anymore and say that this is the best product money can buy, because the new owners are greedy and they're manipulating the stock and
Sure.
they're trick bagging everybody to make their hundreds of millions, and we're all peasants now to them.
Yeah.
And I hate to break it, but I'm just going to tell you the straight facts. And I could not make money and look people in the eye, even though, guys, I wasn't making so much money that I had my own bank.
Yeah, literally.
You don't,
told me that.
you don't walk away from that kind of money.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. I couldn't look someone in the face. I didn't want to continue to have my leaders look people in the face. And here's BK doing 90 million with clinicals. You know
Yeah.
what that clinicals means? This is a clinical
Trial.
trial. This is the result. Herbalife's doing 6 billion, not one clinical on all those products.
Yeah, so we don't know what the hell they're putting in our body at all.
Well, I know what they're putting in. I took the products to the after I left. I took it to the manufacturer.
Yeah.
And it's fillers and blah blah blah. But it's better to take it than not to take it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah, that makes sense.
But the bottom, I just couldn't do that anymore. And God bless my Herbalife first, because listen, I became #1. I broke every sales record that ever existed. That guy was Chairman's Club, Founders Circle. I was the only guy to do.
I think you made your own levels.
It was crazy, but I had to get to that point where I had to go and have integrity. And
Yeah.
so that's the bottom line. I was followed for 6 months after I left, of reporters and everyone asking me questions and dumpster diving. It was just a crazy mess. But we moved on, and
Sorry. Finish that. Sorry about that.
I wish all my brothers and sisters at Herbalife the absolute best, because I do believe in the word Herbalife. I just don't believe in who's running Herbalife and their value concept.
Gotcha. What was I going to go with that? Oh, yeah, definitely. So I know you have like an amazing drive. I guess you could have 100 million, want 200 million, 300 million. But for the person who, how do you stay so when you are having success and you're getting at a plateau? How do you bust through that? I know you're well at that, but for the ones who aren't, give them some advice on how they can get to the next level, and not be so complacent and always shoot for excellence.
Well, number one thing is you become who you hang around,
Sure.
And when I had nothing, Jim Rohn said something one day: you need to fire your center of influence and let me be your center of influence. And the point of that is I basically listened to him. I used to go, he said, you need to start getting your body in order. So I would go run 3 or 4 miles a day. So I'd walk some, run some, walk some, run some. And I would listen to Jim Rohn in my ear.
Sure.
And that started to get me back going again. And it got me, thinking about who's influencing me, who is installing their beliefs in me, those types of things. And that little by little, I started realizing, that person's not quite motivated over here. I don't think they're a bad person, but I can't hang out with people like that, because that's the way I'm going to be. And it's very hard. You guys that work 9 to 5, I know it's like. I went to university, worked a job. I did the internship, basketball, all of it, and I still did Herbalife. So
how many calls are you getting for people trying to join your new company from top earners?
As you know, I'm really kind of like I'm kind of keeping it at bay. I never thought we would have all this craziness happening in the world, but so I'm gonna wait a little bit to come out the gate with some happiness. But
it used to be the right time. Yeah, it wouldn't make sense to do it right now.
I don't want to force something and then we got to make excuses and stuff like that, But the other thing is, I wake up every day. Not every day. I wake up some days. I'm human, and I'm like, I don't feel like getting out of bed. I'm depressed. Or I don't want to. But I invest. I invest in my mind. Whether I was broke, whether I had a little bit of money, or now that I got a lot of money, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. You're still human. You still got the same roller coasters in your brain. You gotta be strong enough, just like going to the gym or brushing your teeth every day. You gotta be strong enough to put the right message in your brain every day, so that you can influence yourself and help other people.
You have such a huge following. I know it's a little controversial. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but you want to put any thoughts on the political race going on right now with everything going on with Biden and Trump and all that craziness?
Absolutely. I was raised blue collar. So with blue collar people come strong Democrats. But remember, the Democrats back then are not the Democrats today. The Democrats back then are the Republicans today.
Yeah.
And the old Republicans are dead. And the new Democrats are what you call wackos and markets. So it's today, we're not even, this is a battle for what we founded the country off of. Everyone came from different countries. So I really have never been one to put a political twist in my personal life or public life, because I always kept that separate, because in the past, it's healthy to have a left and right.
Sure, of course.
Because that's what balances out the country. Today, we don't have a left or right. We have this left that has put this illness on us called the Chinese flu. We've got riots, and BLM is bullshit. You've got all of this cancel culture crap, and it's just out of hand. So it's, if you think that our country's not under siege, you're a fool. Yeah. So you should, if you have to contemplate which direction you need to vote, then you need to go get checked into a serious mental clinic, because we're not talking politics right now. We're talking about our country under siege. Yeah. And if it continues to be pushed much farther, you will see, and I know people are going to say I sound like a complete cuckoo head here, because I'm not. No. But we're going to see.
That way.
We're going to see a civil war on our hands if this gets out of hand. If this,
we kind of already are. We're having military on our national, at our cities now.
Well, you got the people like me who are like, we don't really want to fight. We want to pay our taxes and chill and work hard. Yeah. Yeah. But you're now seeing Black Lives Matter people walk up to people and say, put your fist up, and knocking over our drinks and beating up old ladies and shit like that. Yeah. We are the majority. And if you keep pushing our people much longer, we will come out with about 1 billion guns to the street and show you what time it is.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not that hard.
This is future. If Trump does win, I mean, who do you think is going to keep that going? I mean, in terms of like the candidate after him, who do you think is the front runner coming up after him? I'm sure he's going to win this election, but after that, you know what I mean? That's what I'm worried about.
You have to look at the root of the evil. And it took 20 years for them. No one knew what really the Clintons and what all those Democrats, we didn't realize, because we were thinking there's a left and right. And we're going, oh, it's left and right. It's going to be okay. We'll swing this way and swing that. That's the way we're supposed to think. It's okay. We're supposed to have a left or right. Sure. But they were making all these deals, unwinding with the billionaires for the last 20, 30 years. And we didn't realize that was all happening behind our backs.
Yeah.
So with Trump getting in, they've made every possible roadblock possible to destroy this man, which has been all bullshit. If he gets in, which he's going to, one more session, those 20 to 30 years, they're going to unravel that whole entire thing. It's kind of like an anthill.
Yeah.
The next 4 years will completely destroy that anthill. It's like it's halfway kicked over right now. That's why they're all fighting and screaming and making up stuff and rioting. But the next 4 years is going to destroy it. Now, your question, what do we do? Well, we got to build some leadership. I don't know if it's going to be Don Jr., but the bottom line is you should have enough people now see that we got to the point of almost losing our country, that you will probably see it swung for a little bit and rebuild the leadership. And I think it's time to have maybe like a Latino president in there that's like a Republican, or there's a couple strong Republican Black senators that are from the South. There's a lot of strong minorities now that are coming up that are really strong that everybody will follow,
Sure, definitely. Was I going with that one? I guess I was going a little back. I kind of missed that question, but I guess it's kind of interesting. How do you feel about the without saying who they are, there's a lot of network marketing companies that are just having arguments between owners and breaking apart. And you kind of probably know who I'm talking about, the main one. But what is that all about? You think it's just a greed thing, or, it's just, people just break like major friendships for years over, I guess it has to be money, I assume, but who knows?
I can always tell you what it's about, because I've kept the same crew together for 20 years.
Sure.
And whether I got a nuclear bomb stuck up my butt or someone, whatever, my people are with me, period. You know why they're with me, period? Because I've nurtured them and built relationships.
You don't lie to them. That's probably the key.
Yeah, I always tell what's up. And we will weather any storm together. We'll go up and down to it. These people, they just start taking the money and they forget. They go to the event. Oh, you're so wonderful. You can tell they're not really care about you. See, I bring people to me. I go and have vacations with them where I'll even flip 50% of the bill. I won't do a cheap little thing. I want them to eat and drink out of the big cup, not the little cup.
Yeah.
So when they feel and experience that I'm willing to go the extra mile for them, they're willing to go the extra mile for me, regardless of what happens. And that's what happens with the companies. And it's hard when they get big. You know, some of these companies got to $500 million or 800 mil, but you have 80 to 100 top leaders that you need to keep close to you as much as possible. And if you don't, then it's going to unravel on you, unfortunately. And then you're going to have people jump and ship. And then there's always perception, because sometimes perception looks like someone's doing something and they're not. And then there's times that it actually is happening. So, you know, that's one thing I'll give out to Herbalife. That Mark Hughes created a culture that no one really wants to leave. Yeah. I left because of integrity issues. If Mark was still there, there's no question I'd be right there right now. There's not even an issue. But it just comes back to the integrity of how you create and treat your leaders.
Is there any young leaders that you have your eye on that are looking to be superstars in the future?
I think Alex Morton.
I know you pay attention to everything.
I think Alex Morton's done an incredible job. I'm real proud of him. He reminds me a lot of myself.
Sure.
You know, he's now become more of an executive distributor or affiliate, so he's on both sides of the fence. I was not at his age, so he's doing amazing things. And the thing that he's doing is he's impacting people's lives, and he's taking his message and he's teaching people not to blow money and go out there and reinvest it. He went through a phase of blowing money. Everyone does.
Yes.
But
I think we all did when we were making that money at Vima. I mean, I remember some parties I can't say, but we had fun.
Oh, of course. But it's, you know, you correct yourself, you grow up, and he grew up and he's still young. And he's young, and he's got a now fiance, and he's got his life going in the right direction. So I'm just real proud of him. There's a lot of other young entrepreneur and network marketers out there, and they're doing extraordinary. So you'll see a whole new crew rising that this industry really needed, because I'll be honest, the old crew dominated MLM for probably up until about 7 years ago. Everyone hated me in the beginning because I used the internet, and they thought I was some demon. Yeah. But all I was doing, what took them 20 years, I could do.
The funnel thing that you mastered is amazing.
What they could do in 20 years took me 1 year. Not because I did it wrong. I just did the same presentation, but I put it into a video and a qualifying process. I just, you know, Jim Rohn said, do things smart, not hard.
Yeah. What do you I guess to the young guys that are finally coming up and making a lot of money and doing really well, because I think that it's a new age of people just really thinking they can get it earlier now. I mean, like you said, back in the day, the older people, you know, figured you had to do the 40-year thing, 40, whatever that's called. And I guess your advice to them is just manage their money a little bit below their means, just kind of stay humble and keep working hard and remember how you got there. I guess that's what you're thinking.
Well, you got to manage your money, live under your means until you've bought enough assets that kick off the cash flow that gives you the life you want.
Sure. And that's for everybody, right? You have to make that number.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you need to live poor or low, but you need to live that way until, because see, I see people make 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 a month in MLM, and they're out buying Louis Vuitton bags and big body Benzes and Bentleys. I'm like, do you have 10 million cash in the bank? No. What is wrong with you? Like, really?
They like to be stressed out, I guess, just to look good. I don't know.
Well, think about this. They're buying material. This is what's so funny. They're buying.
It's not even a decent asset. It's not even an asset. It's a depreciative thing.
Oh, it's garbage. Listen, they're buying material things to make other people, to impress other people that don't give a shit about them. Think about that mindset.
Yeah.
I want to be somebody because I want them to think I'm somebody. I don't know them though.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
We were talking about a little bit earlier about Trump, and obviously you probably went through it too. I've gone through it too. Give some advice, I guess, your point of view on, you know, they always say there's a cost to success. All the people that are just hating on, like when you start doing well and start making companies that they want to say, like, I always look at that emoji or that meme where you start a company, you get 1 like, you get a new job, you get 1 million likes. Like, how does that, when you're starting to work and making and doing well, how do you deal with that criticism and just, do you just block them out or use it as motivation, fuel? What do you do? I think they're just jealous and haters, but you know, for the people that are, I want to get your perspective on it.
People that do that, those are the cowards and the quitters. So I don't let cowards and quitters affect where I'm going.
Sure.
And it actually, you know, I mean, I've had even big hitters. Like when I was in Vima, I had 3, or I won't mention their names, But I had 3 or 4 people that wanted to be me. When I showed them how to do the work in today's technology, they would just go behind my back and say a bunch of crap. And I was like, I knew they were doing it, but I just didn't bring it to their face because, I don't care.
Yeah. They're not important.
I just do the numbers, and whatever someone says is what they say. The only people I make sure I care about is the IRS, make sure my tax bill's paid.
Yeah, because they look at us hard.
I like to make sure the people around me know I love them, and I try to make sure that I take them to the best restaurants and show them how to become winners. But at the end of the day, I can't please everybody, but they know where my intentions are.
Sure. I guess finally, we'll obviously catch up later on, just us, but I guess if somebody wants to reach out to you directly, ask you any questions, find out about the new company, or just ask you any advice. I know you do mentorship as well, and maybe they want to find out about that. Is the best way to get a hold of you through social media, or?
Yeah, social media is the best. And so I have on Instagram, it's Anthony Powell and the number 1. And on Facebook, it's the Anthony Powell. I do coaching programs. I go in and teach big companies, middle-sized, small, one-on-one companies, one-person companies. I coach people. I have all kinds of stuff. And then I'm starting at something for the average little guy that's a monthly program that's very, like $75 to $80 a month, where I can accumulate a large audience of people and help them, go from the bottom to the middle to the top and all that stuff. So I'm having all different types of coaching programs. And then
you're doing that.
Yeah. And here's the thing, guys. I'm really big about this. I don't pitch and try to cross recruit people. And I don't do the MLM game where I friend someone just to get them to like me, to them ask me how do I get into your business. If you're in a network marketing business, I want you to stay in that business and get my information and destroy it in that marketing plan wherever you are.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, definitely, man. Thank you so much for being on. I mean, dude, you dropped some knowledge today. I'm jealous. I've always been jealous of your lifestyle, man. I'm starting to finally get a little bit of it, but I don't think I'll ever touch 20% of it. You lived an amazing life.
You're doing extraordinary things. Don't ever be jealous because you're on your way. Remember, consistency and follow through, and you'll kick my ass.
No, I hope not, because I love you, man. But we'll go from there, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much again. I know you're super busy. We really appreciate it, man.
All right. Bye-bye.